Georgia, 65, a proud mother of 2 sons and grandmother of 5 beautiful children. After teaching elementary school for 4 decades, I thought my retirement would be filled with family gatherings, spoiling my grandkids, and quiet afternoons in my garden. For years, I've helped my oldest son, James, and his wife, Melissa, with their mortgage payments after he lost his job. Then came this year's Mother's Day, when Melissa decided I wasn't immediate family enough to attend their celebration. What happened next shocked even me. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you're watching from and tap that like button if you've ever had to stand up to a family member who took your kindness for weakness. I retired from teaching 5 years ago, after dedicating 40 years to shaping young minds at Lincoln Elementary. My husband, Frank, passed away 8 years ago, after a brief battle with cancer, leaving me to navigate retirement alone. I've managed well enough on my teacher's pension and the life insurance Frank left, keeping busy with my garden club, book club, and of course, my family. My eldest son, James, is 42, married to Melissa for 12 years now. They have 3 wonderful children, Emma, who just turned 11 and is becoming quite the pianist. Ethan, 9, who loves baseball and video games. And sweet little Lily, who's 6 and still wants to sit on Grandma's lap for stories. They live just 20 minutes from my house in the suburbs. My younger son, Tyler, is 38, married to Sophia, and they have 2 children, Max, 8, and Zoe, 5. They live about an hour away, so I don't see them quite as often, though we make the effort for weekly video calls and monthly visits. I've always believed in helping my children when I can. Frank and I paid for both boys' college educations, helped with down payments on their first homes, and I've continued that tradition of support. When James lost his marketing job during company downsizing 5 years ago, right when I was retiring, I offered to help them with their mortgage. It was a substantial commitment, paying half of their $2,400 monthly payment, but I could manage it on my retirement income. James found new employment within 6 months, but at a lower salary, so I continued the arrangement to help them get ahead. I've been particularly close to James's family since they live nearby. I babysit the kids at least once a week, attend their school events, and until recently, joined them for Sunday dinners almost every week. Melissa and I used to get along wonderfully. She would call me for recipes, gardening advice, or just to chat about the kids. I thought we had a special bond, different from, but just as meaningful as the one I share with Sophia. Looking back now, I can see the changes in Melissa's behavior started subtly. A cancelled dinner invitation here, a shortened visit there. Nothing obvious enough to raise serious concerns. I chalked it up to the stress of raising 3 active children while managing a part-time job. I never imagined what was really happening behind the scenes. The first clear sign that something was wrong came about 6 months ago. James and Melissa had always hosted a big Halloween party, and I'd always helped with the decorations and baking. Last October, I showed up at our usual time to help, only to find the house already decorated, and Melissa clearly surprised to see me. Oh, Georgia, we actually finished everything already, she said, barely opening the door. James didn't tell you. We decided to keep it simple this year. Yet, when I arrived for the party that evening, it was anything but simple. Elaborate decorations I'd never seen before filled the house, and there were several platters of catered food. When I complimented the spread, Melissa just said, "We decided to treat ourselves this year," without meeting my eyes. During that party, Melissa spent the entire evening chatting with her friends, barely acknowledging me. When I offered to help serve or clean up, she quickly said, "We've got it covered," and turned away. It hurt, but I told myself not to be oversensitive. The invitations to Sunday dinners became less frequent. "We're just so busy with the kids' activities," was the common excuse. When I did join them, Melissa would often make comments that stung. "The kids don't really eat that anymore, Georgia," she'd say when I brought their favorite cookies. Or, "We're trying to limit screen time," when I mentioned a movie I thought the grandkids might enjoy. Once she even said, "Parenting has changed a lot since your day," when I suggested Ethan might need a firmer bedtime routine. The children's behavior changed too. Emma, who used to run into my arms, now greeted me with just a quick hug before returning to her tablet. Ethan stopped asking me to watch his baseball practice. Even little Lily seemed more reserved. It felt orchestrated, as if they'd been coached to keep their distance. James noticed none of this, or, if he did, he said nothing. When I gently brought up Melissa's coolness, he just shrugged it off. "She's just stressed about work stuff," or, "You know how it is with the kids' schedules." My friend Barbara, a widow like me who lives down the street, noticed my increasing sadness. Over coffee one morning, I confided in her. "Something's changed with Melissa. It's like she's trying to push me away, and I don't understand why. I've always been careful not to interfere or criticize." Barbara patted my hand sympathetically. "Have you done anything to upset her? Maybe a misunderstanding?" I racked my brain, but couldn't think of anything. "Nothing. And I'm still helping them with their mortgage every month. You'd think that would earn me a Sunday dinner invitation." Despite my growing concerns, I continued writing my monthly check for $1,200, never missing a payment. I believed that family supports each other through thick and thin. Little did I know what that support was really funding. As Mother's Day approached, I found myself looking forward to the celebration. Despite the growing distance, surely Mother's Day would be different. It had always been a special occasion in our family, with brunch at James's house for all the mothers, me, Melissa, and Sophia. I had already bought gifts for both my daughters-in-law, a silver bracelet for Sophia, and a spa gift certificate for Melissa. 3 days before Mother's Day, my phone rang. It was James, and immediately I could tell something was off. His voice had that forced cheerfulness that always meant bad news was coming. "Hey, Mom, how are you doing today?" he asked too brightly. "I'm fine, James. Just planting my summer vegetables. Is everything okay?" There was a pause, then a cleared throat. "Yeah, everything's good. Listen about Sunday. We're going to do things a little differently this year." My stomach tightened. "Oh, what's the plan?" "Well, Melissa thought it might be nice to just have a small celebration this year. You know, just immediate family." The words hit me like a physical blow. just immediate family. What did he think I was? James? I said carefully. I'm not sure I understand. Are you saying I'm not invited to Mother's Day? More throat clearing. It's not like that, Mom. It's just that Melissa wants to have a special day with just the kids, and then maybe we can celebrate with you another time. Next weekend, maybe. In the background, I could hear Melissa's voice, though I couldn't make out the words. Whatever she was saying, she didn't sound concerned about my feelings. I see, I said, my voice suddenly sounding old and fragile to my own ears. And this was Melissa's idea, Mom. Please don't make this a thing. We'll definitely get together soon, I promise. Does Tyler know about this new arrangement? I asked. Another pause. We haven't really discussed it with Tyler and Sophia. As we spoke, I heard Melissa again in the background, louder this time. Just tell her we'll see her another time. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. Being excluded from a family Mother's Day celebration after 42 years of motherhood and 5 years of helping pay their mortgage was not a big deal to my daughter-in-law. After hanging up, I sat in my garden, tears streaming down my face. The carefully tended tomato seedlings blurred before me. All I could think was, what had I done to deserve this? How had I gone from beloved mother and grandmother to unwelcome outsider? That evening, my phone pinged with a text from Tyler. Hey, Mom. Sophia and I would love to have you over for Mother's Day brunch if you're free. The kids are excited to give you their presents. I was touched by Tyler's invitation, but hesitated to accept. The last thing I wanted was to create a rift between my sons. Before I could decide what to do, my phone rang again. It was Emma, my eldest granddaughter. Grandma! Her voice was quiet, as if she didn't want to be overheard. Are you coming over for Mother's Day? No, sweetheart. Your mom and dad want to do something just with you kids this year. Oh, she sounded disappointed. Mom said you were too busy. She said we shouldn't bother you because you're probably going on a trip or something. My heart sank further. So Melissa was lying to the children about my absence. Mom's been acting weird, Emma continued. She and Dad were arguing about money yesterday. Something about a big special trip this summer that they're paying for with Grandma's money. Is that your money, Grandma? With that innocent question, something clicked in my mind. Something wasn't right with this situation, and it was time I found out what. After that call with Emma, I couldn't sleep. What did she mean about Grandma's money paying for a trip? The mortgage payments were supposed to be helping James and Melissa stay afloat financially, not fund vacations. The next morning, I pulled out my bank statements and the folder where I kept records of all the checks I'd written to James and Melissa for the mortgage. Everything looked in order on my end. I'd been faithfully writing a check for one loan $200 on the first of every month, just as we'd agreed. But something was nagging at me. On a hunch, I called my bank and asked for copies of the cleared checks from the past 6 months. The representative was helpful, and within an hour, I had digital copies in my email. What struck me immediately was how quickly the checks were being cashed each month, usually the same day I gave them to James. It seemed odd for a mortgage payment, which typically had a set due date later in the month. I decided to dig deeper. I called the mortgage company posing a general question about refinancing rates. During the conversation, I casually mentioned that my son had refinanced with them recently. When was that? The helpful agent asked. About 6 months ago, I replied, going on a hunch. Oh, yes. Rates were very favorable then. Many of our customers took advantage and lowered their monthly payments significantly. My blood ran cold. I thanked her and hung up, then immediately called my financial advisor, Harold, who had helped both my sons with their initial mortgages. Harold, I need to ask you something confidential, I said when he came on the line. Is there any way you can find out if James and Melissa refinanced their home recently? Harold was silent for a moment. Georgia, I can't access that information directly unless they've listed me on their accounts. But I did run into James at the bank about 6 months ago. He mentioned he was there to complete a refinance. I assumed you knew about it. I felt sick. Do you have any idea what their new payment might be? Well, rates dropped significantly last year. If they refinanced, then they might have reduced their payment by $600 to $800 a month, depending on the terms. That meant their mortgage had likely dropped from $2,400 to around $1,600 or less. Yet, I was still paying $1,200, which would now be covering not half, but potentially 75% or more of their entire mortgage. I thanked Harold and hung up, my mind racing. If James and Melissa had refinanced 6 months ago, that would explain the sudden change in Melissa's attitude toward me. They were essentially pocketing hundreds of dollars of my money each month, money I thought was going toward their mortgage. With shaking hands, I opened my laptop and went to Melissa's Instagram page, which she thought I never checked. There they were, the evidence of their deception. Photos of Melissa in clearly expensive new clothes, a post about James's new golf clubs, pictures of a weekend getaway to a luxury resort just last month, and most damning of all, a close-up of Melissa's hand showing off a large diamond anniversary ring with the caption, 12 years and he still spoils me. Blessed add diamonds, area girl's best friend. I felt physically ill. For 6 months, they had been using my generosity to fund a lifestyle upgrade while simultaneously pushing me out of their lives. The timing of Melissa's coldness perfectly matched when they must have refinanced. Taking a deep breath, I called my banker and asked him to calculate exactly how much money I had given James and Melissa in the 6 months since they had refinanced. The figure made me gasp. $7,200 that I thought was going toward their mortgage had instead funded their luxuries. I spent the rest of the day investigating further. A search through my email found a message from James from 6 months ago that I had overlooked, vaguely mentioning changes to our financial situation, but conveniently leaving out the fact that they had refinanced and no longer needed my level of support. That night, I called Tyler, needing to confide in someone. Tyler, have you heard anything about James and Melissa refinancing their house? He was quiet for a moment. Yeah, Mom. James mentioned it to me a while back. I assumed you knew. Did he tell you they're still taking my mortgage money? The same amount as before? Tyler's voice hardened. No, he didn't mention that part. But, honestly, Mom, I'm not surprised. Melissa has always been calculating when it comes to money. Sophia and I have noticed how she's been treating you lately. It's not right. I went to bed that night with my mind made up. The hurt of being excluded from Mother's Day had transformed into something else determination. It was time to take action. I spent the day after Mother's Day preparing for what would undoubtedly be a difficult confrontation. I gathered all my evidence bank statements, copies of the checks, printouts of Melissa's social media posts showing their lavish spending, and notes from my conversations with the mortgage company and Harold. I didn't call ahead. At 2 p.m., when I knew both James and Melissa would be home, but the kids would still be at school, I drove to their house. My hands were shaking as I parked in their driveway, but my resolve was firm. Melissa answered the door, her face immediately falling when she saw me. Georgia, we weren't expecting you. James is on a work call right now. He'll want to make time for this conversation, I said firmly, walking past her into the house. Please, go get him. Something in my tone must have warned her that this wasn't a typical visit. She disappeared upstairs and returned moments later with James, who looked confused and slightly annoyed. Mom, what's going on? I'm in the middle of something important. This is important too, I said, placing my folder on their dining table. We need to talk about your mortgage and why I'm still paying $1,200 a month toward a payment that was significantly reduced 6 months ago when you refinanced. James's face went pale. Melissa's eyes narrowed, darting between James and me. How did you know about that? James asked quietly. That's what you're concerned about? Not the fact that you've been essentially stealing from me for 6 months. I opened the folder and laid out the evidence piece by piece. Your mortgage payment went down by at least $600 after you refinanced. Yet, you never told me. You kept taking my checks for the full amount. We were going to tell you. Melissa jumped in, her voice defensive. We just wanted to build up some savings first. I turned to her, feeling calmer than I expected. Savings? Is that what you call this? I laid out the printouts of her social media posts. New clothes, jewelry, luxury, weekends away. You've been using my retirement money to fund your lifestyle upgrades. Those were anniversary presents, Melissa said weakly. James wanted to do something special for our 12th anniversary. With my money, I said flatly. Money I thought was keeping a roof over my grandchildren's heads. James at least had the decency to look ashamed. Mom, I can explain. It wasn't like we planned this. When we refinanced, we realized we had some breathing room financially. We were going to tell you. When? I demanded. It's been 6 months, James. 6 months of taking my money under false pretenses. 6 months of Melissa, gradually pushing me out of your lives. Was that part of the plan too? Take my money, but exclude me from the family. Melissa's face hardened. You're always inserting yourself into our lives. The kids need space from their overbearing grandmother. We deserve to enjoy our own money without you counting every penny. My money, I corrected her. You've been enjoying my money. We've been struggling for years. Melissa shot back, her voice rising. Always pinching pennies, never able to enjoy anything because of the mortgage. You have no idea what it's like to raise 3 kids in today's economy. So yes, when we had a chance to finally have some breathing room, we took it. By lying to me, I said, by taking advantage of my generosity. You've had your time, Melissa said, her voice cold. You had your life, your house, your family. Now it's our turn. If you want to keep being part of this family, you'll understand that. I turned to James, hoping to see him defend me, but he just stood there, looking at the floor. In that moment, I realized how weak my son had become, how completely he had surrendered to Melissa's control. I've made a decision, I said, my voice steady despite the pain in my heart. I'm canceling all financial support immediately. No more mortgage checks, no more extra gifts, no more emergency funds. You're on your own. Melissa's face changed instantly, panic replacing the disdain. You can't do that. We're counting on that money. For what more jewelry European vacations? I know about the trip you're planning, Melissa. Emma mentioned it. James's head snapped up. You talked to Emma about this. She called me wondering why I wasn't invited to Mother's Day. Melissa told the children I was too busy, that I might be going on a trip. Another lie. Melissa was backpedaling now, her tone suddenly conciliatory. Georgia, I think you're blowing this out of proportion. We're family. Families help each other. Yes, they do, I agreed. But families don't lie to each other. Families don't exclude grandmothers from Mother's Day celebrations while taking their money. Families don't push away someone who has done nothing but love and support them. Mom, please. James finally spoke up. We can work this out. There's nothing to work out, I said, gathering my evidence back into the folder. I've made my decision. The financial support ends now. As I turned to leave, Melissa grabbed my arm. You're just doing this to hurt us. You want to control us with your money. I looked at her hand on my arm, then into her eyes. No, Melissa. I'm doing this because I finally see you clearly. You've been pushing me away deliberately, making me feel unwelcome in my son's home while happily taking my money. That ends today. I left them standing in their living room, Melissa already turning on James with accusations, and drove home with tears streaming down my face. The vindication of confronting them didn't ease the pain of betrayal. That night, my phone rang repeatedly. James left voicemails apologizing, asking me to reconsider, saying they needed time to adjust their finances. Melissa alternated between angry texts, accusing me of abandoning my grandchildren, and fake sweet messages, suggesting we talk this through like adults. I turned off my phone and cried myself to sleep. The weeks following the confrontation were some of the most difficult of my life. News of the showdown spread through our family like wildfire. Tyler and Sophia were firmly in my corner, outraged at what James and Melissa had done. I always knew she was materialistic, Sophia told me over coffee, but I never thought she'd go this far. Using you like that, it's despicable. The hardest part was maintaining my relationship with my grandchildren while distancing myself from their parents. Emma, perceptive as she is, sensed the tension immediately and called me on her tablet. Are you mad at Mom and Dad? Mom's been crying a lot, and Dad sleeps in the guest room now. My heart broke for her. Grown-ups sometimes have disagreements, sweetheart, but I want you to know that I love you, Ethan and Lily, very much. That will never change. I learned from Tyler that James had moved out temporarily, staying with a friend while he figured things out. Apparently, the confrontation had exposed deeper issues in their marriage, with James finally realizing how Melissa had been manipulating both him and me. The financial impact on them was immediate and severe. Without my $1,200 monthly contribution, they struggled to maintain the lifestyle Melissa had grown accustomed to. I heard through Tyler that they had to cancel their European vacation plans and that Melissa was furious about it. About 3 weeks after the confrontation, James asked if we could meet at a coffee shop, downtown neutral territory for both of us. I agreed, still loving my son despite his mistakes. He looked terrible with dark circles under his eyes and a slumped posture I'd never seen before. "Mom," he began, his voice breaking, "I don't even know how to apologize for what we did, what I let happen. You lied to me, James. You took advantage of my generosity. Do you know how that feels, to be used by your own child?" His eyes filled with tears. "I do now, Melissa. She's been using me too in different ways, controlling our finances, isolating me from friends, making all the decisions. I just went along with it because it was easier than fighting." "That doesn't excuse what you did," I said, though my heart ached for him. "I know, nothing excuses it, but I want you to know I'm seeing things clearly for the first time in years. Moving out has given me perspective. I'm in counseling now, trying to understand how I let things get so bad." We talked for nearly 2 hours. James revealed that Melissa had been pushing him to ask me for even more money, possibly even a loan against my house. She had plans for a kitchen remodel private school, for the kids a new car. My confrontation had derailed those plans and exposed her true nature, not just to me, but to James as well. "What about the children?" I asked. "How are they handling all this?" "They miss me," he said sadly. "I see them every day after school. Melissa's been telling them it's all temporary, that we're just going through a rough patch. Emma doesn't believe it, though. She knows something bigger is happening." Over the following months, our family dynamics shifted dramatically. Melissa made several attempts to regain my financial support. First came the guilt trips through James. When those failed, she tried direct appeals, showing up at my house unannounced, with tears and apologies that never quite rang true. Her most manipulative attempt involved sending the children with handmade cards, asking Grandma to help Mommy and Daddy fix their house problems. I remained firm but kind, especially with my grandchildren. I made it clear to James that while I would no longer provide regular financial support, I would help with specific needs for the children, like education expenses or medical bills paid directly to the providers. James continued his counseling and gradually began standing up to Melissa more. By early fall, he had moved back home, but with strict new boundaries. He took control of their finances, put Melissa on a budget, and insisted on marriage counseling if they were to stay together. The first holiday after the confrontation, Thanksgiving, was tense. We gathered at Tyler and Sophia's house with Melissa noticeably subdued. The children seemed relieved to see the adults being civil, if not warm, toward each other. James made a point of sitting next to me his way of showing where his loyalty now lay. As I look back on everything that happened over the past year, I realize that as painful as it was, it led to necessary changes and growth for all of us. The 6 months since the confrontation have transformed our family in ways I never expected. For me, the journey of healing began with grief. I mourned not just the loss of trust in my son and daughter-in-law, but also the idealized version of our family I had clung to, despite clear warning signs. Working through that grief first alone and then with a therapist specializing in family issues helped me find strength I didn't know I possessed. I've discovered that setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's necessary for healthy relationships. For too long, I measured my worth as a mother and grandmother by how much I could give financially and otherwise. Now, I understand that respect must accompany love, or it isn't really love at all. James has shown remarkable growth during this time. Through counseling, he's reconnecting with the confident, principled man he once was. He calls me regularly, now not to ask for things, but simply to talk. Last week, he surprised me by coming over to help plant my fall garden, something we used to do together when he was younger. "I let you down, Mom," he said, as we worked side by side in the soil. "I promise I'm going to spend the rest of my life making it up to you." Melissa and I have established a cautious, polite relationship. I doubt we'll ever be close again, but we're civil for the sake of the children. She's been humbled by the experience, especially as word got out among extended family and friends about what she'd done. James tells me she's making efforts to change, though I remain wary. Most importantly, my relationship with my grandchildren has not only survived but deepened. Without the cloud of financial manipulation hanging over us, our time together feels more genuine. Emma has started coming over after school twice a week to learn quilting, a tradition passed down from my grandmother to me. Ethan asks me to attend his baseball games again, and little Lily still wants those bedtime stories on her overnight visits. Tyler and Sophia have been rocks throughout this ordeal. They've included me in more family activities, making sure I never feel isolated or forgotten. Their children, too, benefit from the stronger boundaries and clearer expectations I now set in all my relationships. Last month, we had our first whole family Christmas gathering since the confrontation. There was some tension, but also laughter and genuine moments of connection. James made a toast that brought tears to my eyes, speaking about the importance of honesty and respect in a family. I saw Melissa watching him with a mixture of emotions on her face, perhaps finally understanding what she had nearly destroyed. What I've learned through all of this is that loving someone doesn't mean letting them take advantage of you. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for them is to say no and mean it. I've learned that my value isn't in my checkbook, but in the wisdom, love, and time I can share with my family. I've also learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or allowing the same patterns to continue. I've forgiven James, and I'm working on forgiving Melissa. But our relationship will never be the same. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. The new relationship we're building is based on truth rather than manipulation, on respect rather than exploitation. The peace I feel now isn't the passive, conflict avoidant peace of my past. It's a stronger, more authentic peace that comes from living truthfully and requiring the same from those around me. I still help my family when I can, but now it's on my terms with clear expectations and boundaries. As I move forward, I'm creating new traditions with my family, ones built on mutual respect and genuine love. I'm finding joy in relationships that nourish rather than drain me. And I'm finally putting myself first. Sometimes something I should have done years ago. Have you ever had to make a difficult decision to protect yourself from a family member who was taking advantage of your generosity? How did you find the strength to stand up for yourself? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe to hear more life lessons from someone who's learned them the hard way. And if you know someone who might be struggling with family boundaries, share this video with them. Sometimes we all need a reminder that it's okay to say no, even to the people we love most. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, it's never too late to stand up for yourself and reclaim your power.